Hi, and welcome to Big Brother, a walk down memory lane, where I talk about different Big Brother contestants until either I get tired of doing this or we just run out of people to talk about. I've been going through all of the America's Favorite Players, but I just want to tell you that this is actually a very bittersweet episode for me because not only are we talking about my personal all-time favorite Big Brother house guest ever, but this could potentially be our very last episode on this app. So I just want to give the disclaimer that before we get started, I'm going to continue these other places. So please go find me so that you don't miss out. Now, the very first season to ever institute America's Favorite Player was season 7. They called it Fan Favorite. And the winner of that was Janelle.
Janelle, congratulations. For the first time, you are the head of household. Jennifer, please hand over the key to the HOH bedroom.
So Janelle started off on season 6, then season 7, where she won America's Favorite Player that they called Fan Favorite at that time. And then she was on season 14 and then season 22. The reason Janelle is one of my very most favorite players of all time is just because I was pretty young when season 6 premiered. I think I was maybe like 11 or 12, so middle school age. And for whatever reason, I looked up to Janelle. Since then, I have still continued to look up to this woman. She is a boss babe, and we will talk about that here in a second. Let's go in chronological order. So starting with season 6. So what you can remember about Janelle from season 6 is that she was a part of the famous Sovereign Six Alliance. She made it to be the very last juror, the 7th juror that season, which means she made it to 3rd place, and the person that cast the final vote to evict her was Yvette. Big Brother has only 2 official fully all-star seasons, and Janelle is such a popular player, such a fan favorite player, that she was asked to come back for both of those, the first of which was season 7. So on season 7, Janelle set the record for the most individual competitions won by a single player in a single season. She won a total of 9 competitions, 4 HOHs and 5 POVs. Now, what we can most remember about season 7 is her love, romance, showmance. Well, really, it was kind of one-sided, but a showmance that she had with Dr. Will. Something else about Janelle on season 7 is that Dr. Will convinced Janelle to put up Marcellus, one of her closest allies during season 7. She did that and infamously evicted Marcellus during her reign as HOH. Janelle came in 3rd place on season 7, and Mike Boogie was the sole vote to evict. What is interesting about this is Janelle came in the exact same spot 2 seasons in a row. She came in 3rd place, which made her the 7th member of the jury twice. And like I said before, Janelle on finale night became the very first person to win America's Favorite Player. Janelle then returned for season 14. If you don't remember, this was the coaches season. So Janelle, Brittany Haynes, Dan, and Mike Boogie all returned to coach teams. Then at some point, they were given the option to enter the game as opposed to coaching teams, and they chose, or at least only one person had to make the decision, but they were able to enter the game and play normally. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this happened on week 3 that they all entered the game, okay? The very next week, week 4, Dan Giesling and Mike Boogie were way too threatened by this boss babe, and they decided to convince Danielle Murphy, who was HOH, to evict her. She did it, and unfortunately, Janelle got backdoored. Then Janelle was offered the opportunity to come back for season 22 BB All-Stars, so her 2nd All-Star season in a row. Now, what's interesting about this season, we all know it happened only because of the panorama at that time. I do not think that BB had any intentions on having an All-Star season, but they had to, because how else would they do casting? They couldn't, so they did a recast of former players. Now, Janelle was squacked. She was robbed. She was duped. This was very, very unfair. It is widely speculated and assumed that there was a lot of pre-gaming that happened on this season. I talk about that on another one of my episodes of this series, so go back and watch that. Now, Janelle came out and did confirm that there was pre-gaming, and she blamed it all on Danielle. Like, Danny, Dick and Danielle. But I digress. Now, Janelle coming on to BB22 means that she was the very first contestant ever, and the only contestant at this point, to compete on 4 separate seasons of Big Brother. Now, Janelle was not the only Sovereign Six member that was placed in this BB22 house. Kaysar was also in the BB22 house, and Janelle and Kaysar were absolute besties on BB6 and BB7. This posed a massive threat to everyone else in the house. Not only is Janelle a wildly successful and one of the BB players, aside from Danielle Reyes, that everyone believes was the best player to never win, but now she's in the BB house with one of her BB besties. So Janelle was targeted from week 1. Kaysar was able to save her twice using the safety suite, I think is what they called it, twist. It was just a competition that he was able to win and save Janelle. Janelle was kept safe a third time when Memphis Garrett won HOH because Memphis was an ally to Janelle and Kaysar for a little while. And because the house was so scared of her, week after week after week, she was just the target. And she unfortunately was targeted by Tyler Crispin when he won HOH. Janelle was put right on the block. He didn't even try to backdoor her. She had the opportunity to win the power of veto, of course. She was unable to do so. And unfortunately, on eviction night, Janelle went out on a 9-2 vote. This placed her in 14th place on BB22. Now, don't worry because Kaysar didn't go out much longer after her. And Janelle and Kaysar continued to keep their friendship alive. It was actually really fun to watch social media during this time because Janelle and Kaysar were consistently going live together on IG. They were just talking back and forth, shooting the shit about the BB22 game. They were both very vocal about Ian Terry and the controversy that was going on about him. I did a video on that already, so if you haven't seen it, go watch it. They were also very vocal about, or at least Janelle was, about the pre-gaming. And they were just talking shit, honestly, about the people in the house that sucked. They hated the fact that there were so many newer age BB players and there were so few of the older BB players that, and then the competitions were just so heavily, you had to be really athletic to win these competitions, and Janelle was just not quiet about how unfair that season was. And we all know that that season was terrible, and we all mutually agree with Janelle. Now, Janelle is in a deep feud with Nicole Franzel, and there is a whole lore involved with that. I may have to do a totally separate video on it, but it stemmed from something that happened during their time on Amazing Race together. This was pre-BB22. They started a whole... They're not friends, okay? They're not friends. So there's a feud between the two of them, and it continued in the BB22 house and has continued after the BB22 house. And whenever she blamed Danny for the pre-gaming, she did back up and say it wasn't necessarily Nicole Franzel, but she didn't strike down the claims that Nicole Franzel was the one that snitched on Derek and Dan Giesling, potentially being the ringleaders of said pre-gaming. Or at least to the best of my knowledge, she didn't. If I'm wrong, please send me receipts and I will correct that. Janelle has been called, and I quote, the queen of Big Brother by multiple news and media outlets, by past contestants that have played with her and watched her play, by us as fans, and even by Julie Chen herself. Janelle is truly one of the greatest BB legends of all time. I envy her. I want to be her. She is me. I am her. You guys will never be able to change my mind about Janelle. Now, I mentioned Janelle being a part of Amazing Race, and I'm going to save that lore for a totally separate video, but I do want to talk about Janelle on The Traitors. Actually, unfortunately, I just realized I'm running low on time, so I'm going to have to do a part 2 of this video, and I will talk about Janelle's tenure on The Traitors Season 2. Stay tuned.